Young B on the beat, bitch.
Alright, how's everybody doing today? This is B.Smith. I'm coming at you with a tutorial today, working on MPC. So I kind of wanted to show you guys a little bit about kind of the basics of MPC, how to use it, how to go about it. I know a lot of people that I talk to haven't even really heard of it. It's kind of crazy to me, being that it's one of the most user-friendly and easy to use DAWs for beat making. I wouldn't go any other route than use it, so let's get at it. Alright, how's everybody doing today? So this tutorial we're going over MPC. I'm gonna go ahead and open that up real quick and get started on that today. I just wanted to show you guys the basics of what to expect when opening it up. Right now I'm rocking with MPC 2.6. And yeah, that's about it. Let's get into it. I just want to kind of be straightforward with this and show you guys exactly what you guys want to hear. So going into it, let's make sure that you got your preferences set up how you want it. For me, I got mine set up on a little multi-output device and stuff like that. My input is my MPC Touch, so my beat pad. Whether you guys have a beat pad or not, this tutorial is going to work out for you. It doesn't matter if you do have a beat pad or you don't. We're going to make sure that you guys understand it for both, because it's all kind of intuitive and kind of works together like that. So that's the awesome thing about this. So going forward, so as long as we got our preferences set up how we want, whether it be your interface speakers, whatever, your built-in speakers, whatever it may be, make sure you got that set up. Make sure you guys, if you guys are rocking Mac, I don't know about PC, not a PC guy, but it's probably the same on PC, that you go into your system preferences on your actual computer and make sure that that's set up accordingly and is set up to work well with the software. So going into this, for purposes just for this video, I'm gonna grab a sample from Splice that I already had picked out. In any DAW, you're gonna want to set up your BPM to match your project and what you're working with. So sample in this is 145. The key is E minor. So the key is something we're gonna want to keep in mind. Jot that down if you if you need to or whatever. But the key is E minor. So first things first, when I go into making a beat, I always automatically, right off the top of my head, change these bars to 8, because that's going to change our workspace. So we're working with 2 bars. That's in our sequence. We're going to bounce it out to 8 bars, and we're going to be able to work with more. So yeah, first things first, when you open this too, also what you're seeing visually, just as far as visually, you're seeing over here, you're seeing your library. So this is your library. And there's kind of different tabs that you can run through, and down here different tabs that you can run through to choose from what library you're going to pull from, whether it be your browser or an Akai library. That's what that is. You got your beat pads down here. You got your cue links, so your little knobs and stuff to kind of do some tweaking effects and stuff like that. Over here you got your mixers, so you got your track mixer, you got your master bus mixer, which is awesome. So it looks a lot like any other DAW, whether you're using Logic or Pro Tools, Ableton, whatever, Fruity Loops, whatever you're using. Going into this, it's very easy to look at, right? Pleasing to the eye and very simple and straightforward. The only thing that this is a little bit different is it's more in tune to beat making and beat sampling and drum sampling and all that. So it's built around literally producers. So that's what I love about it. Let's go over kind of what we got going on the screen other than that. So up here we have our time. You can change that to time, or you can change that to your bars, beats, and stuff like that. So this is your time, correct? It shows you exactly what it's going to bounce to, what it's going to quantize to. So as you're laying things down, it's going to quantize to whatever you have your time correct set as. So that's something to keep in mind. It's an auto quantize. You can turn that off too. If you click on it, you can turn that off. But that's something you're going to want to keep on, at least for At least I think for beat making, right? Metronome up there if you need it. So over here, this is kind of where I want to go into a little bit of depth. So your main mode is where you're going to spend most of your time, right? So it's where it's going to show this screen right here. It's going to show your track, what program you're on. It's going to be just this track that we're looking at right here. So, so that's that. So going into track view is something that when you start laying out more tracks and you start going down into more tracks and laying more drums and instruments, you're going to see all of those stacked up right here. It's going to be, you know, set up for you to visually see, which helps later on, because for me, when I like to keep my beats kind of simple, but if I want to get more complex, and going into getting more complex, it's nice to see those. It's nice, you can hear them, but it's nice when you're recording. Let's say you're in main mode and you want to record it. It's nice to come to track view while I'm recording and see this, so then I can place my instruments more quickly and efficiently and accurately, especially when I got artists in the room and I'm trying to, I'm trying to be quick and swift with it and keep that creative flow going. So that's track view is really nice. I kind of bounce between this and a couple other pages while I'm making my beats. So that's dope. Program edit, that's something I'm going to go into another video more in depth, but program edit's awesome. Program edit allows you to take any sample and layer it and do some effects to it, filtering, all types of stuff. Really to go in and take your program, so take your kit or whatever, and alter it in any way, however you want to do it, a bunch of different ways. I use program edit for a lot for key groups. I'll get into that. I'll kind of touch on that here in a minute, and then I'll get into that in another video. And then sampler. So we have home, track view, program edit, and we have sampler. Sample edit is something you're going to want to come into and edit samples, you know what I mean? So come in here and you can do all types of things. I'll also do this on another video, but I'm going to go over it real quick. So there's a bunch of different functions that you got to mess with your sample. So if I want to reverse my sample, if I want to pitch shift my sample, I want to time stretch my sample to fit another BPM. So let's say I wanted this to be, let's say I threw this in here and I'm like, oh yeah, but I want my beat, I really like the way the drums sound at 153 or whatever. So my sample is 145. So all you do is you hit time stretch down here, time stretch. This is something you guys want to know, because you want to do this before you start making the beat, even if you want to do it later on, right? Click on original tempo. The original tempo of our sample is 145. Boom. Our new tempo that we want is 153, right? Boom. And I would just hit do it, and it would automatically move the sample, and it would sound clean too. It doesn't really like stretch it out and make it sound weird. It actually makes it sound really clean and alters your sample without having any weird stretching or kind of modulating noises that just sound off. So that's dope. These are the ones I don't really touch: pad mixer, channel mixer, sampler over here I might touch every now and then, but a lot of these I don't touch. It's really just these four. So for beat making and just for basic purposes, that's what you're going to want to use. So boom, that's that. First thing, going into actually starting to make the beat, I'm going to double click this just to lay down my my sample. I'm going to double click. You can double click anywhere in here and throw down notes, but I'm going to double click there and throw down my sample. I always bring down my sample a little around 100, so it could be a little below or a little bit before or a little bit above, but right around 100, just so that when I go to lay my drums down, my drums aren't fighting and having to compensate for that high level sample to make it sound somewhat mixed, right? The key thing is, guys, and I can't stress this enough, when you're making your beat, please, for God's sake, remember to not make everything so loud. You want to make sure that when you're making your beat, you're kind of somewhat mixing it and having an idea for where the mix is going to go, as far as how everything sounds volume-wise, at least level-wise, going into your mix later and going into recording later. So I don't mix in MPC, just to put that out there. I bounce my tracks. I export all my tracks separately, and I bounce them to Logic or Pro Tools to mix. So Um, so that's just a little tip and a little hint, especially going into just starting. That's gonna save you a lot of time. I had to learn that on my own, and kind of sucked, but yeah, that's just gonna help you out in the long run. So yeah, lower that down so that your drums can sit kind of nice with that and not have to peak all the time. You know what I mean? So let's play our sample here and hear how it sounds. So that's dope. All right, so we layered that on track 1. Make sure that you guys do not also put all of your drums and all of your stuff onto one track. If you're using the same kit and you want to layer multiple drums out of that kit, make a new track each time so that you can easily mix later. Okay, so let's see here. So track 1 we have done. Track 2, we're gonna go ahead and start a new program. So before we go into opening a new program, you're like, okay, where's all my programs? We gotta load those in, right? So let's go over here. Down here in the bottom, you have your media browser and your expansion browser. These kits are awesome from Akai. If you guys go to their website and buy all these kits, and there's kits that are catered to each and every type of producer and artist. They got like a 90s one. They got like a EDM type ones. They have like some reggaeton ones. They have some soul ones, some like old school. They have the sleazy beats, which is freaking awesome. They got the rock cuts, some of that older boom bap style. They got all types of stuff on there, so I would definitely recommend going and checking that out, and getting a good idea for what kind of kits you would want to use. So I have gone through just about everything that I have purchased from them. There's nothing like that feeling of getting a new kit and a new pack and just going crazy, just going through it, and just new sounds to the ear, just awesome. I love that. But yeah, I would recommend doing that. But for me, for my purposes, the cool thing about MPC 2 is you can build your own kits very, very easily. And I'll go into a video on how to build your own kits. But for this video's purposes, I'm just gonna go ahead and load in some of my kits that I have custom made. All right, boom. So you've loaded your kits in. So on track 2, I'm gonna go track 2. I'm gonna go down and I'm gonna pick the kit that I want to use. So let's say we want to lay our hi-hats right on top of that sample. So the thing to realize down here, so this is your pads. If you have a beat pad in front of you, you don't, doesn't matter. It still works just about the same. So you go up to tools. If you don't have a beat pad, this is how you do it. You go up to tools and you click on pad keys, right? Make sure that's checked. That's going to turn 1, 2, 3, 4 straight down your keyboard to ZXCV, and that's going to make all 16 of those pads usable by your keyboard. So now my keyboard controls my beat pads. Awesome, right? So not only that, but your 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 is also going to control your note repeat. So that's what we got right here. That's what you see here, note repeat. That's going to take all of your pads and all of your samples, and what that's going to do is it's going to put it on a repetitive note rhythm for or pattern for you to use and just play right off your beat pad. It's awesome. So that's where this time correct comes in. So whatever you set this time correct to, which is also what I was talking about, your 5 through 9 on your keyboard, it's gonna set. You can alternate through that live, right? So if you guys never heard of no repeat before, that's what that does. You can see it changing right down here as I click it, right down here, right? So that's dope. So on your screen, what it's gonna say is it's gonna say half level, and it's gonna highlight when you click on it. That's all that's doing is when it's not highlighted, it's on full level. So all of your pads are full level, and when you click it, it's gonna turn it to half level. So that's taking it from 100% or 50%, right? So it's a little bit easier to record it and be closer to the mix that you actually want later on, right? So that's dope. 16 level is gonna take any sample that you have on your pads, and it's gonna take it and it's gonna allow you to spread it out across 16 levels or across 16 pads in different ways. So, for example, I'm going to click on this hat 1. So whatever my last hat is, or last pad that I clicked, it's going to use that. I can also go to pad and I can change it to whatever pad I want. So let's use pad 1. So the type, velocity or tune, filter, layer, attack, decay. I personally only use tune. I might use velocity, but I just like to use velocity when I go in there and I do my little post edit real quick with my pen. But tune is dope because it's so easy to lay down pitch shifted hi-hats. That's such a hack. It's so easy to lay down pitch shifted hi-hats. I just have to say this. I have to put this in this video. It's not necessarily a basic, but it's just so key. It's so dope. If you guys want to do pitch shifted hi-hats, that's how you do it. I'll probably throw that in a couple other videos and just reiterate that because that is so easy and dope to do. So tune, with your original pad, it's going to take that original sample and it's going to put it on whatever pad you want, and it's going to go, so in tune, up would be pitch shifting up, and down your beat pad, or down your pads would be pitch shifting down, right? So I'm going to go pad 8 because I like to have a little bit above and a little bit below. So as you can see, as I click this, I'm going to use my keyboard, not my beat pad, so you guys can see that. But as I go down I'm going to turn this up. As I go down, and as I come back up, it's pitch shifting my hi-hats, so I can do some cool stuff like this. Let's go ahead and actually just lay this down so you guys can see how I would do it. I'm going to click record up here, and I'm going to click play start, which is this button right here, and it's going to count us in. Ready? So that's a little different. I'm honestly just messing around with it, but if I were to legit lay something down, I would probably do my pitch shifts afterwards and kind of I'd lay them down a little different, but that kind of shows you guys exactly how that's used. So yeah, every time you guys do this, I want you guys to use a new track, and that's really key because when you use a new track, you're layering everything out across multiple tracks, and it's easier later. I had to reiterate that for you guys. So that's about that, guys. There's not really much else on the basics of this. That kind of covers everything. If there's anything you guys want me to touch on or you guys want me to go into depth on, go ahead and hit me up in the comments. Feel free to hit me on IG at Young B.Smith. It's B.SmithBeats. Yeah, guys, keep rocking with it. Subscribe for more. I'm going to be doing a lot of tutorials and going into depth on MPC. I'm going to go into depth on Logic and Pro Tools, and go into depth on mixing and a lot of mixing tips and stuff like that. So, yeah, guys, appreciate you guys for tuning in, and I'll see y'all next time.
Young B on the beat.